The Wild West, a period etched in the American psyche, conjures images of vast landscapes, dusty saloons, and the echo of gunshots. But behind the romanticized facade lies a complex reality shaped by diverse forces: westward expansion, the clash of cultures, and the relentless pursuit of fortune. During this period, from the mid 1800s to the early 1900s, the frontier transformed into a crucible, forging legends and outlaws alike. In the year 1849, the discovery of gold at Sutter's Mill in California ignited a frenzy. The subsequent gold rush propelled a massive influx of people westward, driven by dreams of striking it rich. This sudden migration dramatically reshaped the demographic landscape, creating boomtowns overnight and exacerbating existing tensions with indigenous populations. As events unfolded, clashes between miners, settlers, and Native Americans became increasingly common, contributing to a climate of violence and instability. Throughout the era, the expansion of the railroad played a crucial role in connecting the East and West coasts. The Iron Horse, as it was known, brought with it not only goods and people, but also a sense of progress and interconnectedness. However, it also facilitated the encroachment upon Native American lands and further fueled conflicts over resources and territory. Subsequently, the government's policies of displacement and assimilation further marginalized indigenous communities, leading to devastating consequences. During this period, the lives of ordinary people on the frontier were marked by hardship and resilience. Homesteaders faced the daunting task of taming the land, battling harsh weather conditions, and contending with limited resources. Women on the frontier played an essential role in their communities, often taking on responsibilities that defied traditional gender roles. They worked alongside men in the fields, managed households, and provided essential services like healthcare and education. As events unfolded, the cattle industry became a dominant force in the Western economy. Massive cattle drives spanning hundreds of miles became a symbol of the era. Cowboys, romanticized figures of the Wild West, endured arduous journeys, facing dangers from stampedes, weather, and occasional conflicts with rustlers. The open range, though seemingly boundless, became a source of tension as competition for grazing land and water rights intensified. In the year 1890, the Wounded Knee Massacre marked a tragic turning point in the history of the American West. This brutal event, which resulted in the deaths of hundreds of Lakota men, women, and children, effectively brought an end to the era of large-scale armed resistance by Native Americans. It stands as a somber reminder of the devastating impact of westward expansion on indigenous populations. Throughout the era, the myth of the Wild West began to take shape, fueled by dime novels, Wild West shows, and sensationalized newspaper accounts. Figures like Buffalo Bill Cody capitalized on the public's fascination with the frontier, creating romanticized portrayals of cowboys, Indians, and outlaws. This mythologizing of the West continues to influence our understanding of this period, often obscuring the complex realities of life on the frontier. The dust settled slowly on the boomtowns, leaving behind ghost towns and echoes of fortunes made and lost. The Wild West, a period of rapid transformation and dramatic contrasts, began to fade into the pages of history. But the legacy of this era, with its complex tapestry of triumphs and tragedies, continued to shape the American identity. During this period, the closing decades of the 19th century and the dawn of the 20th, the focus shifted from conquering the frontier to consolidating gains and establishing order. The romantic image of the lone cowboy gave way to the rise of large ranches and agricultural enterprises. Subsequently, the open range, once a symbol of freedom and opportunity, became increasingly fenced and controlled. In the year 1893, Frederick Jackson Turner presented his influential frontier thesis, arguing that the closing of the American frontier marked a significant turning point in American history. Turner's thesis sparked a national debate about the meaning of the frontier and its impact on the American character. As events unfolded, historians and scholars continued to grapple with the complexities of this period, exploring its enduring influence on American culture and society. Throughout the era, the experiences of women in the West continued to evolve. As towns and communities grew, women increasingly sought greater social and political rights. They organized suffrage movements, advocated for educational opportunities, and played an active role in shaping the cultural landscape of the West. Subsequently, their contributions challenged traditional gender roles and paved the way for future generations of women leaders. During this period, the rise of industrialization and urbanization transformed the American West. Mining towns that had once boomed with gold and silver rushes gradually declined, while new industrial centers emerged. The influx of immigrants from Europe and Asia added to the cultural diversity of the region, creating vibrant communities and contributing to the economic growth of the West. As events unfolded, the romanticized image of the outlaw persisted in popular culture. Stories of Jesse James, Billy the Kid, and other notorious figures continued to captivate the public imagination. Hollywood emerged as a powerful force in shaping the narrative of the Wild West, producing countless films that both celebrated and mythologized this era. In the year 1903, The Great Train Robbery, a silent film considered a landmark in cinematic history, cemented the enduring appeal of the Western genre. The film's depiction of a daring train heist captivated audiences and helped solidify the image of the outlaw as a complex and often ambiguous figure. Throughout the era, the Wild West continued to exert a powerful hold on the American psyche. Its legacy, imbued with both romanticism and realism, reminded people of a time of transformation, opportunity, and the enduring struggle to define the American identity. The echoes of gunshots may have faded, but the stories of the Wild West continued to resonate, reminding us of a formative chapter in the nation's history. The 20th century dawned, and with it, the Wild West, once a vibrant reality, solidified its place in the realm of myth and memory. The frontier, once a symbol of limitless possibility, now existed primarily in the collective imagination, shaped by the stories, songs, and films that celebrated its larger-than-life characters and dramatic events. During this period, the early to mid-20th century, the legacy of the Wild West became increasingly intertwined with the burgeoning American entertainment industry. Hollywood, with its penchant for spectacle and romanticized narratives, embraced the Western genre with fervor. Subsequently, iconic figures like John Wayne and Clint Eastwood emerged as embodiments of the rugged individualism and frontier spirit that defined the popular perception of the West. In the year 1939, Stagecoach, directed by John Ford, set a new standard for Western films. Its stunning cinematography, compelling characters, and exploration of complex themes elevated the genre beyond simple action-adventure and contributed to its enduring popularity. As events unfolded, countless Westerns graced the silver screen, solidifying the Wild West's place in American popular culture. Throughout the era, the romanticized image of the cowboy continued to evolve. From the rugged, solitary figure of the open range, the cowboy transformed into a symbol of American heroism, embodying values of courage, self-reliance, and a deep connection to the land. This idealized image, often divorced from the harsh realities of life on the frontier, resonated deeply with audiences seeking escapism and a connection to a simpler, more heroic past. During this period, the music of the West also found its way into the American consciousness. Folk songs and ballads, often passed down through generations, told stories of cowboys, outlaws, and the hardships of life on the frontier. Artists like Gene Autry and Roy Rogers, known as singing cowboys, brought the sounds of the West to a wider audience, further solidifying its place in American musical tradition. As events unfolded, historians and scholars continued to revisit and reinterpret the history of the Wild West. New research challenged traditional narratives, shedding light on the experiences of marginalized groups, including women, Native Americans, and minority communities. These revised interpretations offered a more nuanced and comprehensive understanding of the complexities of this period, moving beyond simplistic portrayals of heroes and villains. In the latter half of the 20th century and into the 21st, The Wild West continued to capture the imagination of artists, writers, and filmmakers. Contemporary Westerns, often reflecting a more critical and revisionist perspective, explored themes of identity, social injustice, and the environmental impact of westward expansion. These works challenged the romanticized myths of the past, offering a more complex and nuanced portrayal of the people and events that shaped the American West. The Wild West, though long past, continued to resonate in the present, reminding us of a formative chapter in American history and its enduring legacy.